I'm joined today by a man who can best be described as the heart and soul of service. John Bridgeland is the founding director of Freedom Corps. Before that, he was the head of the Domestic Policy Council in the White House, where after 9/11, he channeled volunteers into programs and projects that have impacted the modern and evolving service culture. John, welcome.
Thank you, Carrie. Nice to be with you.
Can you tell us more about the days after 9/11 and how efforts to help were coordinated?
Sure. So on 9/11, I found myself unexpectedly in the President's Emergency Operations Center below the White House as the Secretary of Transportation was grounding every plane in and coming into the United States. And I went over to the Federal Emergency Management Agency to check up on the response that was ongoing to the Pentagon in New York City and a town we would later learn was called Shanksville, Pennsylvania. And we discovered that senior management was out at a conference in Colorado discussing what would happen if terrorists struck the United States. And yet there were these wonderful civil servants there, the people who serve across administrations and government. And they were doing, they had everything under control. And I brought back to the president for him to sign the emergency declaration releasing aid to all these areas. So that was the first big government response. But literally when I went back to my West Wing office later that day, my emails were full of messages from many people I knew and many people I did not know, expressing, alarm, fear, but also this, you could see very early on, this appetite for people to want to help, protect their country, care for one another. And literally the White House operators, with whom I also spoke the next day, told me thousands of calls were coming into the White House saying, what can we do to help? And how can we volunteer our time and our energy and our resources to knit this country back together and keep it safe and strong?
That's a really huge outpouring of response. I remember when it happened, and everyone that I knew wanted to do something, and I didn't realize people were also reaching out to the White House.
It's true. When I went to Ground Zero, New York City, I met couples who had driven literally for 3-4 straight days from Seattle, from every reach of the country into these areas to set up staging grounds to help serve food and water and beverages to the first responders who were working 24/7. And in fact, there was such an outpouring of love and support and volunteering that they had to set up a trucking operation to take the excess of American compassion away, because it was some of the early efforts were actually interfering with the response efforts, which is typically American, right?
Right.
That all these people, they can't do enough to help. Mm-hmm. And so the question for me and the president and the country after 9/11 was, I was in the Oval Office and the president looked at me and he said, Bridge, I want an initiative that will build on the millions of acts of kindness and goodness and decency that we're seeing in the country, and will foster a culture of service, citizenship, and responsibility for decades to come. And we went on over the next few months. Actually, within a number of days, the president announced outlets, ways in which Americans could give back, including America's Fund for Afghan Children. Mm-hmm. Within 6 days of the attacks, he actually went to a mosque, the Islamic Center of Washington, took off his shoes, prayed with the Muslim leaders, and came back and said, Islam is a religion of peace, and the instinct to stereotype and say that all Muslims are dangerous, is a false assumption. And so he calmed the fears of the country and the potential, infighting that might occur. And within a couple of months, we had developed what became the USA Freedom Corps, which was an initiative that provided both full-time national service opportunities through programs like VISTA, Volunteers in Service to America, AmeriCorps, like City Year and Habitat for Humanity, Teach for America, the Peace Corps, and then a new Citizen Corps for Homeland Security that mobilized doctors and pharmacists and dentists and emergency responders and volunteers to help in fire departments, police departments, to prepare for disasters of all kinds, including, unfortunately, at that time, we thought there would potentially be waves of additional terrorism.
Right. So how did that program work? Did people come to sign up to a website, or did they call a number?
They did. We actually discovered that there were about 5 or 6 existing clearinghouses. And what we wanted to do was to build a citizen-centered, single stop, for shopping, for volunteering. So we brought convened the leaders of these clearinghouses in to the White House, and we ended up creating volunteer.gov. So you, Carrie, could go into that system, type in your zip code, Silver Spring, Maryland, and find a wide array. You could type in your interest, mentor or tutor a child, work to clean up a river or park, work in disaster preparedness and response. And you could find literally dozens of opportunities right next door. Or if you wanted, you could say, I want to work on malaria control in Rwanda. Mm-hmm. And you could go into that system and find nonprofit organizations that deploy Americans abroad, in that case to Rwanda, to work on malaria control. And the president's he's a results-oriented guy. And so every time I briefed him twice a week in the Oval Office, and he would ask me, how are we doing? And I could tell him where we were on the number of Americans who were serving in the Peace Corps, AmeriCorps Vista, the Citizen Corps, the Medical Reserve Corps, all these federally supported programs. But he said, how are we doing on volunteering? And we discovered that the government didn't collect regular information on volunteering. So we put in place, and it still is used every single year, the annual Volunteering in the United States Census report.
Interesting.
And so I can actually tell you, Carrie, that the year after 9/11, we expected volunteering to rise. But volunteering went from 59.8 million Americans, which was about 25 or 6% of the population, up to about 29 to 30% of the population, which is actually a very significant increase. And Americans sustained this spirit of giving and volunteering through about 2006. So 5 years after 9/11, the country had this outpouring of this volunteer spirit. And really, it knit us together as a country, across party, across religion, across race, across ethnicity. And frankly and sadly, I think about the times we're in now and how communities are ripping themselves apart over such things. And the election was even quite divisive. And I think we need to resurrect and bring back that spirit of we're all Americans, and fundamental to being an American in our DNA since before our founding has been this spirit of volunteering and service, and not relying on government, but relying on our institutions of civil society and faith-based institutions to care for one another.
9/11 has become a day of remembrance and service, and a national day to pay tribute to victims and honor those who rose up in service in response to the attacks.
The 9/11 Day of Service and Remembrance was a day where the community truly came together to take something so tragic and then make it positive. Your nails, your hammering, your sweat, and your love transforms into something really tangible, into a house. It's an extraordinary experience.
We wanted to do something that really helped honor the volunteers, and that's why we chose this particular project on 9/11.
When I pulled up and I saw so many volunteers, I was absolutely speechless. Everybody coming together showed me that as Americans, we are amazing.
To have our build on 9/11, to have such engagement, and the power of the moments of silence, the power of our community coming together and supporting Yolanda and building this home and building community. It's just such an incredible experience.
My home is being built, and it's everything that I imagined, but so much more, because I never thought I'd get it this way and have so many people to come out. And I'm so thankful to have it back.
Oh, I see your happiness. I'm so glad for you.
This is more than a house to me. It's a start at a brand new life, a brand new future. I can never repay you enough.
And I would, suggest any affiliate get involved in this 9/11 Day of Service. The payoff has been immense.
We come together as a family, and that's what Habitat's all about. I think today will stay in everybody's heart.
I'm so blessed, so thankful. I'm just so happy.
I was born on 9/11.
On September 11, 2001.
3:39 in the morning.
3 in the morning.
My name's Hillary. I was born, I think, somewhere around 2 o'clock in the afternoon on September 11th, 2001, in Norwalk Hospital. I know a lot of people who go to my school and lost their parents or other family members in 9/11. I would hope people can realize how much the world has grown, how things can transform. I like looking for the best in things. If we all do good deeds on 9/11, it'll add up. Doing something good makes me realize I have the power to change things and that there's really nothing stopping me. It's sort of become a part of who I am. I was born on 9/11. This 9/11 day, remember to do one good deed.
We're here in the studio with Liz Robinson, head coach of the 2016 girls soccer team at Walter Johnson High School. The team just won the 4A state championship. Congratulations to the Walter Johnson Wildcats on a remarkable 2016 season, the first girls soccer program from WJ to win the state title. Coach Robinson, can you tell us about this team?
This team, I think, overall, in my 8 years, has definitely proven to probably have the most heart that I've seen out of a group of 26 teenagers. They've gotten along throughout the entire season. I think that's really been the key ingredient to their success this season. They're hardworking, they push each other, they push themselves, and I've really enjoyed coaching them over the last 4 months this year.
As far as we know, you are the only female to win states as a player and as a coach in Montgomery County. How were these experiences different?
They're both different, both amazing, different in positive ways. As a player, obviously having that first state tournament title for your school means a lot. But as a coach, knowing what these girls have gone through to get to this point and how rewarding it is, I think means a little bit more as a coach, because you see all of their hard work, their determination, their pride, their heart pay off in such a huge way at the end of the season after 4 grueling months of work. And it's no easy feat in Montgomery County, in our region, to accomplish this, so very, very proud of them.
Key to the victories are execution and cohesion on and off the field. These 3 young ladies, the captains, are some of the team's leaders. And also joining us is CJ Maloney, who scored 2 of the goals in the finals. Please introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Kylie.
I'm Carly.
I'm Isabel.
I'm CJ.
Kylie, please tell us how the season felt from tryouts in August to the winning game.
Well, at tryouts, there wasn't a doubt in my mind that this was the year where we could win. And throughout the entire season, every game, we got close to that goal. And in that final few moments of that game, I never doubted we were going to win, not once.
So tell us about your 13-game winning streak.
It was a little unreal. I expected to go in, and I expected us to win, but not to the extent of which we did, I guess. But it really brought the team together, I think, and helped push us towards our game-winning goal.
So as a member of the WJ program for 4 years, what made this year different than the previous 3?
I think that the fact that we've all played together for the past 4 years has really helped us with our chemistry on and off the field. And I think that we're more unified this year, which has made us more determined and helped us play to our best.
Carly, can you tell us what was going through your mind when the winning goal was rolling over the goal line?
Honestly, it felt like the ball was going in slow motion. It felt like every second and every sprint we had done this entire season was leading up to that exact moment and that exact play. So I was just hoping and praying that it was going to go in. And when it did, it was an unbelievable feeling. So,
CJ, you will always have 2 goals in a state final game on your resume. How did this game change you?
It's definitely made me more confident on and off the field. I'm going to remember that moment for the rest of my life. It was such a big thing to think about for the rest of my life.
Rachel, how is Liz different than other coaches you've had in your soccer career?
Liz has definitely been one of the most passionate coaches I've ever had, and I've never had a coach that believed in us as much as she did. And she puts so much heart into our games, probably as much as we put into our games.
Allie, you only allowed 5 goals in the regular season. How do you describe your defensive unit?
Our defensive unit this year was really good, and I think we played really well as a team and had really great chemistry, and that's why we had so much success this season.
You never allowed more than 1 in any game during the regular season and 11 shutouts. What does that say about your defensive unit?
And we worked really well together, and I think that, there are only some games that I only had to have a couple saves, and I think that's one of the reasons why I had so many shutouts.
Rachel, feel free to chime in here to tell us about playing down a player and still leaving the field as a winner.
Well, I didn't even know that we were down a player. For I had no idea. I was wondering why the ball kept coming back to our goal, and then but the fact that we still came through with a win, to find out after the game that we were struggling with only 9 players on the field, that was just amazing to know.
Sheridan, it helped having the WJ boys playing right before you, but you had an impressive cheering section. Please tell us what the WJ community support means to you.
The support from the WJ community has been absolutely incredible, and we have the best fans in Montgomery County, and our principal, Jennifer Baker, she's amazing, and she's always urging people to come out to our games through her Twitter and other social media. And our fans, they come to all our away games, and at States especially, even though it was far away, we had a huge student cheering section, and I'm really just going to miss looking up into the stands and seeing a sea of green.
Hi, I'm Kevin Mayberry here with Travel Television, and I am here joined by Andy Bassett, the marketing representative of National Outdoor Leadership School, or NOLS, as it's known.
So NOLS was founded in 1965 by a gentleman by the name of Paul Petzel. And he brought this idea of wilderness education to the United States and didn't have anybody to teach the courses. So he came up with the idea of the National Outdoor Leadership School to teach people technical outdoor skills, leadership techniques, and then environmental ethics. How are we going to be able to be comfortable, ethical, and responsible when we're outside? We'll take people from a novice level in some regards, when they've never even put a backpack on their back, and we'll teach them really the roots of it, how to put your pack on, how to walk with it, and through that progression we'll be able to teach and develop competency of our students.
What is the bus all about?
Well, the bus is our main marketing tool for our organization, and about 4 years ago we decided to put this on the road to increase our people's awareness of the National Outdoor Leadership School. But we felt that we should do it in a way that's a little bit more renewable. So our bus actually runs on recycled vegetable oil, so waste oil from restaurants. It also runs on solar energy. So we have 8 solar panels that are on the roof that will power everything that's not street legal. So your horn, your taillights, that has to run off your alternator, but everything else on our bus runs on solar power. We're the co-founders of the Leave No Trace theory, this idea of minimizing your impact while you're outside and really preserving the wilderness, which is our classroom. And so we're trying to bring that here into the front country. And again, with this whole idea of transference, taking your skill, moving it into the front country, this is our idea behind that is our bus, is something where people can become a little bit more aware of their impact in the world. We purchased the bus about 5 years ago and did all the conversions that are on here. One of the first is we can actually look down. The floors we're seeing are actually not hardwood, they're bamboo, which is the fastest growing grass in the world. So it's a more sustainable product for us to have on here. And we also added staff housing. For lack of a better term, these are our cubbies and basically where we live. So I'm in my late 20s and I have a cubby again. Everything I own for the bus is actually in here, which is kind of fun. Usually have stickers of everywhere we're going. I guess it adds to the flair of the bus. And then behind you is actually our graveyard. This is everyone that's been on the bus with us. And some of the fun stories they've been able to pull throughout the way.
How much vegetable oil do you use?
So we can hold up to 190 gallons of oil. And it's a 90-gallon tank, a 30-gallon tank, and then we have 5-gallon paint buckets that we'll actually use to pour it into the bus.
Yeah.
We have 14 of those, so that's 70 gallons there. We average about 7 miles to the gallon on vegetable oil, but we look around 8 miles to the gallon on diesel, and she's a 30,000-pound bus.
Right,
It's quite a lot of machinery to move. So we've been on a tour for the past 4 years. We've done 110,000 miles and been to all of the continental 48 states. And so she's just constantly moving around. And about once a week, we'll actually take time off to what we call grease. And so we'll go to restaurants, we'll put on clothes that we can get dirty, and we'll literally hand pull each gallon of oil out of these grease traps and then put it into the bus. And the oil literally just goes through a couple of layers of filtration, which is just furnace filters that you use in home heating. And that's all we really have to do in order to run it in the bus.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Let's walk back here a little.
Well, the first thing we can probably look at on the way down is this is kind of our wall of fame. This is our family photo album. These are all Knowles alumni that have come by the bus and given us pictures. A really fun picture is actually up here. This is taken in 1982 in Alaska. And above you can read there's a name, John Gans. That is our executive director. So he runs Knowles. That is his student course. That back here towards the back is we have some seating that's set up for classroom settings. So we'll go to elementary schools and high schools, and we'll actually have the students come in here and we'll teach class here. So we have a television that we actually will show some Knowles videos. We have some also on climate change and some other things. So we'll educate you a little bit more about Knowles, what we can offer, and then again about personal environmental impact.
Basically, you could be in here as your home.
Yeah, this is the last year of my life. We're currently sitting in my living room.
How long do these solar-powered cells last? How much time do you need to charge them up, and how much time are they going to be good for until they're depleted and need to go through another round of charging?
We do have solar batteries. They're actually beneath the bus inside of one of our bays you'd have on a normal tour bus. You put your luggage in, we have our solar batteries there, and we can hold up to 6 kilowatt hours of power. So you figure a 60-watt light bulb, if you have 100 of those for an hour, you've just wasted 6 kilowatts. So it's just being very conscious of some of our energy use. But the good thing with us is as long as the sun's up, we're constantly collecting power and restoring those batteries.
Danny, this has been fun.
Oh, thank you so much, man.
Thanks.
Welcome to my house. My house is always open to you, man.
It's nice. Guys, it's very comfortable in here. Again, Andy Bassett, thanks for joining us and giving us a tour of your house and the classroom of Knowles. And I'm Kevin Mayberry, Travel Television.
There's not much much boom left to this boom box, with music sounding as though it were being forced through a tin can. But the real song here is being played in this hallway. It's the song of people from all across the country who've come to this city to enjoy its good times and help it recover from its bad times.
We have just been absolutely welcomed with open arms and open hearts, and you can't help but just absorb that and take it home.
There's an interesting phenomenon that's popped up in New Orleans post-storm. It's when folks will come in from around the country to try and help rebuild the city during the day. Then at night they will enjoy all the fun that New Orleans has to offer. It's part volunteering, it's part tourism. They call it volunteerism. This is the music that means New Orleans will be back better than ever. What's happening here shows the true power of people. They take the good times from the city every night, and every day they repay for those good times with hard work and a little elbow grease. This organization is Hands on New Orleans, and their name is fitting. Their hands are all over this old school, bringing it back to life. With each brushstroke, there's a story, all of them interesting. This woman created her own charitable organization to help New Orleans.
It's the relationships that you're building, and you come back and you keep those relationships thriving.
Emily Pelton is celebrating her 40th birthday by painting the greenest wall imaginable.
I know what's been going on down here. I've been down a few times. I wanted some other people to see what's been going on in the city, and I know that there were volunteer opportunities, so I sent out an email and got 6 people with me, and we've been having a great time.
Each month, a Travel Television team of volunteers presents volunteering during natural disasters and people who build a better world through service projects, helping strangers, restoring communities, helping the helpless.
Being a foster grandparent has definitely given me a purpose in life.
I love Grandma Lydia. My favorite thing about Grandma Kara is doing a lot of fun activities.
Just been so happy, just so much more energy than being at home alone doing nothing but watching TV. It's the best part of my life.
I'm a bad student because of her. She helps me with reading sometimes.
I am so proud of the work that I do here.
Best part of being a foster grandparent volunteer, watching the light up in the kids' eyes.
Couldn't be more satisfying.
It makes a difference that you get involved with young people.
Being a foster grandparent has been a wonderful, wonderful experience for me, and I'm not going to give it up.
I'm living again, and the foster grandparent did that for me.
Thank you, Grandma. Thank you, Grandma Carol. Thanks, Grandma Jen, for helping me.